and let us all do we can to build a better future. All right, I have to address this because this has to deal with the 2024 election. I made it very clear on yesterday's show my concern for an independent run. I do believe in the abolition of all political parties, but I've been very supportive of third parties. Now, both RFK Jr. and Dr. Cornel West have declared themselves to be truly independent candidates. Now, this is great, but now comes a whole new set of problems. And in the city of Philadelphia, RFK Jr. has declared himself as an independent candidate. There are some issues I agree with him on. I definitely like his stance for free speech and making sure that the First Amendment remains as is. Fine, whatever. Okay, even though we have been dealing with the jackboot of censorship for quite some time, I have to wonder what difference a president can make at this point. But nonetheless, I can agree with that. But there's a lot of other issues that I disagree with. But nonetheless, he has declared his independence from the Democratic Party, which I will applaud him for. Well done. Hey, Marianne Williamson, listen. I know you have a glorified book tour, but if you want to have any kind of dignity, maybe you should just bow out of the Democratic primary too if you still want to do your book tour. Don't worry. You were never going to get any respect in the Democratic primary anyway. So what difference would it make? But anyways, I think it's fundamentally important that we are witnessing at least a independent candidate with a name, and hopefully it could lead to others or lead to people across this country to start building movements and organizations that are truly independent from both parties. Now, I want to play this video here of RFK Jr. making this statement to the people of Philadelphia. So let's play it.
At hotels and malls on the street, and they remind me that this country is ready for a history-making change. They are ready to reclaim their freedom, their independence. And
I saw that and I thought, is that what something?
And that's why I'm here today. I'm here to declare myself an independent candidate.
Now, I have to acknowledge this. Baron Saturday, you had to bring up a soprano statement, and for that, I love you. This is why I love my audience. Baron Saturday, I told you. Hold on. Hold on. Just for you. I told you, Kit. Marianne Williamson's organization isn't a family. They're a glorified crew. And glorified crew, man, you are being generous with that statement right there. So let's pull up this article here from The Hill. RFK Jr. switches from Democrat to independent amid White House bid, which is, again, I can respect this decision that he's doing. So yesterday, which was Monday, on October 9th, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced Monday that he was switching from a Democrat to an independent as he looks to give new momentum to his long shot White House bid. I'm here to declare myself an independent candidate, Kennedy told the crowd of supporters in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. I must declare my own independence from the Democratic Party, he said, to loud cheers and from all other political parties. A lawyer and proud vaccine skeptic, Kennedy has formerly rivaled President Biden from within the party since this spring, but he has not made a dent against the White House incumbent. With just more than a year until Election Day, running as an independent positions him to challenge Biden and former President Trump, the current frontrunner of the 2024 Republican nomination, while leaning on his anti-establishment platform and bypassing both parties' primary rules. So let's go more into detail of this. I want to give a huge shout out to Case Study QB. Let's play this video. Again, if you're not following Case Study QB on Twitter, now known as X, I call it Phoenix, please do so. He is wrongly being censored.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s run for president seems like a logical extension of an American political dynasty, but he says he's being shunned by his own party and says he's being forced to consider leaving it altogether. Full Measure Cheryl Atkinson sat down with him about his campaign.
A Rasmussen Reports poll just found that 1 in 3 Democrats say they might vote for you if you were to leave the Democrat Party and run as a third-party candidate. What thoughts do you have about that?
if the Democratic Party does not allow me to actually have a fair election, in other words, if they continue doing what they're doing, which is to rig the outcome of the election, then I would look at all options.
Can you explain in simple terms what the Democrat Party is doing to discourage your candidacy?
One of the most, I think, egregious thing is that they've passed a rule that says that any candidate who steps into New Hampshire, that no vote that is cast for that candidate in New Hampshire will count toward them. And so I have campaigned in New Hampshire. I've been campaigning there from the beginning. And every delegate that I win from New Hampshire will go instead to President Biden. And they have the potential to do the same thing in Iowa. It's more akin to what we saw in the Soviet Union during, the Soviet era, when the political party, in that case, the Communist Party, was claiming that they had a democracy. But the way they controlled the democracy is the party alone could designate who the nominees were.
Yeah, it is interesting he is bringing up that comparison. But to be very clear here, when we look at our two-party system in this country, they have done a fantastic job in successfully brainwashing many of us into thinking that we do have a choice, that we do have an option. When we look at our system as a whole, it is controlled by corporate media, and corporate media is controlled by Wall Street, big banks, the top 1%, as are both parties. Now, Kennedy is a Kennedy, after all, and he's part of that dynastic family. That family is part of the Democratic Party. So he just can't sit here being surprised, or at least putting on an act of, oh, yes, it is clearly rigged. It was rigged from the start. Look what they did to Bernie. Look at what they did to all the other contenders in the 2020 Democratic primary, what they did to Tulsi or Andrew Yang, and hell, what they even did to Marianne Williamson. We don't have free and fair elections because the American people haven't seen it. We don't know what it truly is. We've been lied about it. We've been told that this is the best we can do. It's the best system ever. It represents the people, but no, it doesn't. We have been lied to. And many Americans, at least a good portion, 50%, have come to terms that there's no need to be involving ourselves, our time, our energy, our finances into supporting either the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. 50% of this population, of the U.S. population, is either non-affiliate or refuses to vote because there's no point into voting, because no matter what we do or who sits on the throne, Goldman Sachs will have the king's right ear. And that's that. It is simple. We have seen it repeat itself through Reagan, through Bush Sr., through Bill Clinton, through Bush Jr., through Obama, through Trump, and yes, even through Biden and whoever will succeed after Biden, whether Biden gets reelected, another Democrat candidate gets reelected, or maybe one of the Republican candidates, including Trump. It's a click, copy, paste the whole way through. And we do need another option. And running as an independent, we haven't seen a successful third-party candidate really shake up the system in quite some time. Case in point, except for maybe Ralph Nader, Ross Perot, and to some extent, Gary Johnson and Dr. Jill Stein, but not enough to where there is a real legitimate threat. Now, here are some of the issues for running as an independent in current 2024 or going into 2024. As an independent candidate, you have to work double time to secure ballot access. I've brought up my state and the issues, what a third party or independent candidate has to do to get on the ballot. And I've had a few live stream audience members ask me, well, wait a minute, can parties or candidates or individuals work together to secure ballot access? And the answer is, from what we've reported here for Hardlands Media, especially way back in 2020 when the lockdowns were happening, the Illinois Green Party and Illinois Libertarian Party were successful in getting some leniency from the state of Illinois so that they didn't have to get a larger amount of ballot signatures so they can get their candidates on the ballot so that their voters or potential new voters can vote for them. But no matter what, every time the Libertarians or Greens or Independents ran during an election cycle, be it a presidential election cycle or general or midterm election cycle, they've always had to deal with legal issues. And I'm just only bringing up one state, and that's my state. Every other state, from people we've interviewed outside of Illinois, they've had their fair share of struggles, some far greater, some more lenient and not as concerning. But each state is going to be different, and that is something RFK Jr. and even Dr. Cornel West will have to contend with. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but now's the time to really start building your infrastructure. And if anything, if you are going to be running as an independent, you need to plan ahead and make sure that you have every single contingency ready and available so that you can counter whatever the two-party system will throw at you. Because both parties, Democrats and Republicans, want to prevent us as Americans having that next choice, that other choice, besides a team red or team blue choice. I want to pull up this video here where Fox News, the fantastic friends at Fox News, start discussing maybe Biden should have handled RFK Jr. just a little bit differently. Let's play it. Huge shout out to Case Study QB. I don't know how he sits through corporate media. He's made out of stronger stuff than me.
But let me get your take on how the race goes, because you could argue that a third-party candidacy like his own, to say nothing of others that could come up, could make it difficult for one of the established candidates from the Democrat or Republican Party to hit the 270 electoral votes they would need, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, remember, whether it's Trump when he won in 2016 or Biden in 2020, they both won states so narrowly by tens of thousands of votes. So if you have Cornel West, you have RFK Jr. In the game, you have No Labels and others, Green Party.
No Labels is not a legitimate third party. They don't even have a candidate, and all it is made up of Republican and Democratic centrists, okay? So if you're somebody who's sick of the two-party system and you hear the words No Labels, it is a lie. It is a lie. It is made up of the same two-party officials that you despise. You'll be wasting your time and energy being associated with No Labels.
There are a lot of votes that can be taken, and you add them all up. That's tens of thousands of votes one way or the other, and that can shift who gets into the White House.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Ralph Nader in 2000, sticking just enough votes to deprive Al Gore of an outright win there. We can go back and play this game again and again. But the argument is that it's going to be disruptive. But for the two major party candidates, a jump ball as to who it takes more from?
Listen, I think, Kennedy is a Democrat, obviously, an icon name on the Democratic side. It's not like the Kennedy family is supporting him. Right. But I still think that he takes more votes from Biden than he does from Trump. But he will take some from Trump as well.
Let's be clear about this. Third-party candidates and independents are not taking votes or not stealing votes. They are earning votes. Let's put that in our vocabulary. Third-party candidates and independents are earning votes. Now, to be clear here, a lot can happen between now and election night. So this is a monumental task that needs to be done in order to make this easier for future independents who want to be non-affiliate, a true no label, a true independent. We're going to have to bring the fight at the state level. And that means getting our legislatures, and this will be a long game. It won't happen tomorrow, but requires your involvement in your state. If you want to make this happen, it means we have the arduous task at the state level in every single state to ensure that we can have citizen ballot initiatives. Now, only just 22 states in this country right now are able to do citizen ballot initiatives. That means the people in the states where they don't have it, you have to get your legislatures to do it. Now, through a citizen ballot initiative, we can it can be done during an election cycle in which voters can call for an amendment to abolish all political parties. And not only does that hurt the politicians at the state level, but it also impacts the goddamn federal parties as well. And if it can be done, we have a chance to have true representation, but it will be an ongoing fight.
Do you think the Biden folks regret not handling him better? They chased him away by not offering to debate him or take him seriously, often bad-mouthing him, and that's come back to bite him.
Yeah, you wonder if they just went forward with a normal primary schedule. And remember, Democrats are going to start in South Carolina, and that's where Biden basically turned his 2020 campaign around. And clearly, I think Democrats thought, okay, he's going to be a pain in our neck for a while until the spring or summer, and then he'll be gone. Well, he's going to be around all of next year.
Right. Sort of like me staying at a party and grabbing the pay-per-view and raiding the guest, refrigerator and all that. All right, Bob, wild stuff, and it is on. Bob Cusack following all of that.
And then finally, this is something that I just found a little bit odd, or is it at? It really says a lot about, I guess, RFK Jr.'s family, where they all decided to denounce him. He's being denounced as an outsider, as a troublemaker. I call it in a question because he's part of the establishment too, but it's important just to bring this up here, where by him declaring himself an independent away from the Democratic Party, all of a sudden he's a bad person. Anybody who doesn't vote liberal Democrat is worse than Hitler.
Kennedy's family name is, of course, synonymous with the Democratic Party, but in his speech, he decried what he claimed was the corruption in the leadership of both parties, adding that the decision was personally painful for him. In response to his announcement, some members of the Kennedy family released a joint statement denouncing his third-party bid. His own sister, Carrie Kennedy, tweeted out this: "Bobby might share the same name as our father, but he does not share the same values, vision, or judgment. Today's announcement is deeply saddening for us. We denounce his candidacy and believe it to be perilous for our country."
And that's why we'll start bombing his house immediately. Sincerely, Carrie Kennedy, part of the Democratic establishment system. You will fall in line and obey orders. You will fall in line and follow orders. Don't break away. How dare you think for yourself? How dare you try and make yourself an independent? I've heard that so many times where people would rage and yell at me and saying, how could you vote for a Green Party candidate? How could you vote for a Libertarian Party candidate? How could you vote for somebody who's independent? Don't you see? It's only helping out the Republicans. I don't care. Now, I don't know who I'm going to vote for during the general election. I thought I had an idea. I have yet to see how this all plays out. I want to see who's going to go all the way. But for the most part, as I could say this right now, I am unimpressed. And I think for the first time in a long time, I have considered sitting this one out, not voting at all. I've been debating that within myself because I always voted. I always did that. I always took that next step forward. So what can we take away from this going into 2024? We cannot rely on electoral politics to be the end-all, be-all, save option. It doesn't matter. I get that we all like to root for our parties or people that really stand out to us, or we fall in the cult of personality. I have to give a shout out to her, Misty Winston. She does great work on her radio show. She also does great work for INN. Misty, you were right. Because the more I hear her talk about how stupid and pointless electoral politics is, the more I'm inclined to be like, yeah, why would I want to go out and vote? Why would I want to do that? Now, I'm not going to tell any of you what to do, but I'm tired. I feel a heavy burden upon me because no one is impressive enough. I fell for all that lie and bull crap in 2016 and 2020. And each of us have to make our own decision. Each of us have to come to our own conclusions. But if I really want to make a difference, I know one thing. I am in full support of citizen ballot initiatives. I am convinced that is the last best shot we got. And there are a lot of states in this country that do not have access to make themselves citizen ballot initiative states. The great state of Texas, you're not a citizen ballot initiative state. North and South Carolina, what's wrong with you? West Virginia, New York State. How come Illinois is a ballot initiative state and you're not? We're outshining you. What's wrong with you, New Yorkers? And I'm calling out all New York. Vermont, what's wrong with you? I'm just Hawaii, people of Hawaii. If there's ever a time for you guys to actually get up and actually fight for a citizen ballot initiative to make your state a citizen ballot initiative state, that's the time after what they did to you guys. This is the only option we have. It's not just electoral politics. It's been played out. It's us, the people. And hopefully one day we can cross that threshold of doing the best thing that has been done in a long time, and that is the full abolishment of all political parties, because enough is enough.